chalice was saved?
It may be that Henry VIII's commissioners sold it back to the parish. Just a little bit of gain.
A piece of extortion.
Absolutely, yes.
That precious chalice was saved by the villagers.
Oh, my goodness, that is absolutely beautiful, isn't it?
And incredibly, they've still got it.
It will be used in a nuptial mass for her wedding.
She would have held it?
Yes.
It's absolutely wonderful, isn't it?
So when Mary was a girl, England was still a Catholic country. But her world was poised between old and new. In society, too, change was in the air. The dissolution of the monasteries flooded the market with land and money, which would give rise to a new middle class. But the Ardens and their neighbours were working people, and they got on with life. By a huge stroke of luck, a list of contents has survived for Mary's house in Wilmcote, which gives us a picture of her life at home.
What comes across is this is a mixed farm. They are keeping animals, they are growing crops, and the two are fairly balanced. He's got 8 oxen. That's not an accident. You need 8 oxen to pull a plough. He's not going in for beef very much. He's only got 2 bullocks, but he is dairying. I mean, 7 cows is above average. At the end of the inventory, we have a total valuation of £77, 11 shillings and 10 pence.
Yeah,
That's
is
right.
that a lot of money then? Or?
Well, it's quite a lot for a husbandman.
Most women then were a working class, in the fields, in the house and in the kitchen. So Mary grew up multi-skilling.
Mary would have been taught from a very early age how to do all the things that were essential. It wasn't just the household and the children, it was the swine, the dairy cattle, the fowl, brewing, baking, making cheese. And she had to be a wonderful planner as well. She wasn't just planning next week's meals, she was planning a year in advance. If she hadn't got her rennet made, she wouldn't be making cheese next year.
From Mary's time, self-help manuals gave women tips on how to be a good housewife.
The knowledge of dairies, malting, oats, and their excellent uses in the families. What about hard agricultural labour? I mean, Robert doesn't have any sons. What does he do when it comes to ploughing time and harrowing and all those sort of heavier jobs?
The women would be expected to muck in. So if the sheep were being sheared, they might be rolling the fleeces and taking them off to be prepared. The men would cut the corn, and it would be the women gathering them up and making them into stooks and picking up any bits that had been left. So they were expected not only to run the household and look after the children and everything directly around the farm house, but they also were there at the busy times as well, helping out. Women were very strong. You wouldn't survive very long if you were, a bit weak, shall we say.
And the next few years were good times for Mary and her husband. She had more children, Joan, Anne, Gilbert and Richard.
K, L.
She would have had an important role in their preschool education, teaching them the alphabet and basic reading at home.
W, P, Q, Q.
But of course, like all mothers, she also told stories.
Merrier than a nightingale that I shall sing.
There's no television, there's no radio, there are no DVDs. What you do, and especially in the long winter evenings, is tell stories.
His name, it was Sir Guy of Warwick, brave and wise.
And years later, her son William would remember the tales of their legendary ancestor, Guy of Warwick.
He came to England, where Athelstan, the king, he found.
There were a lot of printed texts around of what you might call the pulp fiction of the Tudor age, which indeed tended to be prints of these old medieval romances, many of them already well over 200 years old.
And for his love, I understand, he slew the dragon in Northumberland, full far in the north country.
Coventry kept its mystery cycle going until 1579. And so plenty of opportunities for both Mary and her children to have seen them. And I think we can be 90% certain, 95% certain that Shakespeare had.
And therefore at this ending day, he went to joy that lasteth aye.
It's speculation, but with evidence about where Shakespeare's imagination really got laid down.
Amen and charity.
And it wasn't in Stratford Grammar School reading Ovid and Virgil, however much influence those had on him. It was something much earlier and much deeper.
His mum.
His mum. Yes. I think she was a good storyteller.
John, meanwhile, continued his